What's up, YouTube? This weekend I went to go see a little movie that maybe some of y'all have heard of, maybe some of y'all haven't, but it's called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now this is the second film in the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, and I was surprised that it didn't have too much tied in to the whole plot of the MCU as it's going right now. But anyway, I'm here to give y'all a quick review of what I thought about the film. I'm warning y'all now, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it to be spoiled, then you might not want to watch this right now. But if you're a real Marvel fan, I've given you 3-4 days to see the movie, so you should have seen it. You really have no excuse. Sorry. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the review. Now the movie was really good. I'm kind of up there. I'm not sure if I liked it better than the first one or if it's a close tie. I'm not sure, but I definitely really enjoyed it. The movie mainly focused on Star-Lord and his dad, Ego. Spoiler alert. But yeah, he meets his dad. Things are going pretty good. Honestly, I didn't see it coming when Ego actually became the villain of the film. I'm sorry, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm slow, but I just didn't see it coming. It came from left field for me. I actually was waiting the whole time for them to build up who would be the villain of the film, only for it to be Ego, which I thought was great, and it actually surprised me. I don't get surprised in Marvel movies at all these days, but for some reason, it surprised me. Now, Ego is played by Kurt Russell. At the beginning of the film, they show a young Kurt Russell with Star-Lord's mom, and it had the CGI effects that like they used with Tony Stark in Civil War and some other films where they actually make the actors look younger, and it's the best use of that CGI that I've seen to date. It was amazing. Kurt Russell actually looked like he was about 25 years old. It was crazy. But anyways, the movie focuses heavily on Star-Lord. You could almost say it's a Star-Lord film. But I didn't have a problem with that. I would say that this movie fleshed out the characters a lot more than the first film. You got to see a lot of the interactions between Gamora and her sister Nebula and what grew the hatred between them. But they actually come together and bond a little bit in this film, and you see some of the camaraderie between the two sisters, which I thought was definitely good. Baby Groot, of course, stole the film. You know, he's cute, he's amazing, he's cuddly even though he's a tree bark. He was awesome, he danced throughout the film, but one problem that I did have is he didn't really do too much. He didn't fight too much. I thought that he would do a little more action than what he did, but he didn't, but it was okay, you know, it is what it is. Also, Drax, even though I didn't have a problem with it, it seemed like he was laughing at everything throughout the movie. Literally everything that was said, Drax bust out laughing. Now, if you remember in the first film and you know the story of Drax, he's a very dry character. He takes everything literal. You know, he says things kind of off the wall that don't need to be said, that a normal person wouldn't say, but he doesn't care because he just takes everything literal. He doesn't care if someone's feelings are hurt by it because that's how he is on his planet. But it was like, it was just every second Drax was laughing, which I found it to be funny, but it kind of took some of the, I don't know, the menacing characteristics out of the character for me. Like, he didn't seem as badass because every 5 seconds he was laughing. But I mean, like I said, I had no problem with it. Gamora was just Gamora. Like I said, it fleshed out the dealings between her and her sister a lot more than what I was expecting to see when I came to the film. But who really stole the show for me was this guy right here. He stole the show. He went absolutely apeshit. Like, he was kicking ass, whistling all over the place, killing people with his little arrow. You actually think he's an asshole and he's a real bad guy, like a bad character. But when they fleshed out the character, you grew to realize that he really cared about Star-Lord, and he didn't steal Star-Lord from his father, and like, he did it for a reason, because he knew what Star-Lord's fate would be if he were to deliver Star-Lord to Ego. but he chose not to. And he took him under his wing and was actually a father figure to Star-Lord. Now, yes, he was hard on him, but that's called tough love. Like I said, Yondu stole the film from me. He was hilarious. The whole movie was hilarious. By far the funniest MCU movie to date. Like, even during the tense moments, there's joke after joke after joke after joke. And now I've seen some people saying it kind of took them out of the film. They never realized the risk and the things that were going on in the movie because of all the jokes. But to me, I loved it. I loved how it never took itself too serious, and that's why I think it allowed the movie to be greater than what it could have been, because it didn't take itself too serious. For 5 minutes in the movie was there just pure straight seriousness. It was joke after joke after joke. Even in tense moments, it would be lightened up with jokes, and I thought that was amazing. Now, like I said, the main villain of the movie is Ego, the living planet. Now, I was curious because throughout the whole movie, you don't see him as an actual planet. You see him in flesh form as Kurt Russell. But don't worry, he actually does turn into just Ego, the living planet. He actually has this earthly form to be suitable for humans and other aliens and stuff. You know, of course, he can't just roll up on them as a living planet head. He had to have a human form that other people would understand. So he made that form so he could basically have sex with all type of different women and have all these different offsprings in hopes that that offspring would be powerful enough to do what he basically wanted to do into the movie. Now, I'm not going to get into all that, but basically, at one point in the movie, Gamora and Nebula stumble upon all these skeletons, and that's when you realize, wait, Ego's not who he says he is. He's actually very bad. He actually has plans that no one saw coming. And that's when the film takes a turn, and you start to realize there's a very menacing thing going on from Ego. But Star-Lord was the only child that he had that was ever powerful enough to complete the task that he wanted to complete. But of course, Star-Lord didn't go along with it at first. You think he's going to, he's acting like he's going to, but then Kurt Russell let Star-Lord know, hey, I put the tumor in your mother's head. This Star-Lord goes crazy, just shooting them up over and over again, which I thought was a very cool moment in the film. Rocket Raccoon was awesome in the movie. You got to see him do a lot more action scenes than in the first film. He's doing all type of stuff, putting weapons together, fixing ships, blowing people up. Everyone had some very good action moments in this film. A lot more action than in the first movie, if you ask me. I really liked how the characters, most of them weren't CGI. Most of the aliens, they encounter all types of aliens going all types of different planets. And I really liked the use of makeup in this movie. A lot of movies are going away from that, and it's just CGI character after CGI character after CGI character. And then you can't relate with any of the characters you see on screen because they're all just computer animated. This movie does not have that problem. It's like the original Star Wars, where you see all these different races and all these different aliens, but they're all made through makeup, which I thought was awesome. The colors in this movie were like an acid trip. It's just constantly bright colors, constantly good music playing, just like the first movie. Now, of course, I wouldn't say that the music was better in this film than in the first movie, but it definitely blended well with the movie. It was great, as you would expect from Guardians. I would say sometimes it seemed like it was kind of forced on, because it would be literally an action scene, and they'll stop and like, wait, can you play this song for me over the big speakers and shit like that? But, you know, I mean, you can put all that stuff in the back of your head, and it's not that big of a problem. But like I said, they explored so many different planets. The landscapes were beautifully done by CGI. Everything was colorful. It was just a remarkable visual spectacle. And like I said, the characters that were in the film were mainly done through makeup, which was great. They did a great job on all that. Sylvester Stallone pops up in the movie. He did a great job. I actually thought that he was going to do a half-ass job because it's a superhero movie, but he actually was like, showed his acting chops in the film. And he had a little clash with Yondu. Now Yondu is a Ravager, but even Ravagers have this certain code that they're supposed to live by. And obviously Yondu didn't live by that code because he started basically human trafficking, even though some of the humans would be aliens. But he started trafficking kids for a certain price because he'll do anything for the money. And then he kind of got disowned by the Ravagers. They told him, you'll never have a Ravager funeral, we'll never respect you as our kind anymore, and things like that. And at the end of the movie, he actually redeems himself. And he saves Star-Lord. He basically saves the day, and he pays the ultimate price to do so. He passes away. And that was a real sad moment in the film. I saw some people in the theater were actually like crying over it. Now Yondu, in the first movie, he played a significant part, but in this film he actually became like one of the team. He was actually one of the biggest characters throughout the movie. Like, you see more Yondu and more stuff to do with Yondu than you see of Drax and Gamora, which I actually appreciated because he was totally badass in the film. Like, I would say he had a body count of at least like 1,500 by the time the middle of the movie came. But at the end of the movie, he redeems himself. He pays the ultimate sacrifice. He loses his life. And as they go up in the spaceship and the credits are about to roll, you see all the Ravagers pop up. And they gave him the ceremonial Ravager funeral where all these like outer space fireworks are popping off. It was beautiful. And so yeah, he redeems himself. And it really sucked because Yondu actually became my favorite part of the film. And now it's like we won't see him ever again, more than likely. So that definitely was a blow, but it is what it is. All in all, the more I talk about it and the more I think about it, I think I enjoyed the second film more than the first film. It definitely had its problems, but all of them were overshadowed by the good parts of the film. Even like I would say when it's gradually getting towards the third act of the film, I still felt like I was in the first act because it just took me by surprise that Ego was actually the villain. And everything just starts coming to a head real fast, real fast. Now I didn't like how Ego kind of had like a human brain inside of his planet because he is a planet. I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me, but it was okay. Definitely stay for after the credits. There's actually, I think I counted 5 after credit scenes. And one of them, like, if you're a true comic book fan, you'll know what it is. Like, throughout the film there was, I forget the name, but there was this gold race of creatures. Who they were, at the beginning of the film, basically the Guardians of the Galaxy get hired to protect this race of creatures, a race of aliens. And they also get Nebula as a prisoner over some batteries or some shit. But throughout the movie, they're just constantly, these gold aliens just keep coming back. Keep coming back. They're fighting the Guardians of the Galaxy because Rocket Raccoon decided to steal some of their batteries, which they were actually there to protect in the beginning of the film. But of course, Rocket the Raccoon, he always has his schemes. So not only did they protect the batteries and get paid for protecting the batteries, but afterwards he steals them. And then like the whole planet comes after them. What I thought was cool about it is they have all these spaceships coming after the Guardians of the Galaxy. But the spaceships aren't manned spaceships. They're actually like remote controlled by this race from their home planet, in which it looks like they're kind of like in arcade machines. And I think that was just pretty trippy and pretty dope. But anyway, at the end of the movie, after seeing these gold aliens on the film like 15 times and wondering like, why the fuck do I have to keep seeing these fucking aliens? At the end of the film, you realize why. They actually played a very significant role. Because at the end of the film, after their whole fleet gets destroyed by the Guardians of the Galaxy, you actually see their leader creating this new being. And the new being is actually going to be Adam Warlock. Now, a lot of y'all don't know who Adam Warlock is, and a lot of y'all do. Has a big to do with the Infinity Gauntlet, and I'm just not going to get into all that because I could talk about it all day. But yeah, they're making Adam the Warlock, so that's coming. I didn't think Adam the Warlock would actually even be a part of the MCU, or play a factor before Infinity War, but that's definitely coming. You get to see Howard the Duck in the film, which that was the main thing. Not the main thing, but one of the things I was talking to my friends about before going in the film. I was saying, I hope I get to see Howard the Duck. We got to see him for a second. I think eventually we're going to get a Howard the Duck movie. Hopefully made by James Gunn. But like I said, all in all, the movie was great. Slowly but surely, I'm thinking I'm putting it maybe one notch above the first one. It doesn't have the same on-screen magic, I guess, as the first one, because you've kind of seen the movie done before. But I don't know, it's something about it that I think I just like more. I know there was the more action. The villain was actually fleshed out, which they don't do in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's one of everyone's biggest problems with the MCU, is their villains are basically just throwaway villains. And I felt like this villain was actually fleshed out. You get his motive. He actually, you know, you get the reasons behind what he's doing. You actually see him on screen for a while. And it kind of hits you from left field. If you didn't get too much into the spoilers before seeing the movie, you kind of might not see it coming, which I definitely didn't see it coming. Now, Mantis was definitely a good addition to the film. She touches people. I wasn't familiar with her character beforehand, but like, she touches people and she can give them whatever emotion she wants. Her and Drax have this on-screen chemistry that's really hilarious, because, you know, like I said, Drax is this very literal type of creature who basically doesn't have a limit to what he says, doesn't realize what he says can be offensive. And then we have Mantis, who was born and raised by Ego and has never been around any other people. So throughout the film, he's calling her ugly and things like that, and she doesn't get it, like what he's meaning. But they had like definitely an on-screen chemistry, and I definitely see them getting together in the future. So I guess that was pretty cool. But once again, all in all, the movie was great. I suggest you guys go see it. I didn't get into everything into this review. There's so many things to talk about. I'll probably do a second review after I watch the film for a second time. But those are just the things that are on top of my mind right now. So I'll get back to y'all. I'm going to go see it again probably this weekend. I'll have a second review. I'll have a spoiler talk where we'll flesh out every single thing top to bottom in the movie. But this is just a quick review of the things that's coming off the top of my head right now after I saw the film. Make sure you subscribe to my Instagram, FunkyOPop_912. Like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe for more. And have a good day, YouTube.